Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Beloved, be sure to connect with us on our app, okay? That's a new feature that we want to grow because it expands our voice and it solidifies us, ensures that our message is received in more places without being impeded. Talk back to me, somebody. So be sure to check that out, would you? Thank you so much. Family, here you have the United States of America, the sole nation in the UN's recent attempt to declare a ceasefire in the Middle East, the one that continues to stand against it and in favor, of another state. We'll just leave it at that. You see the activity of the United States constantly obstructing and sabotaging the will of the majority of the world whenever it comes down to important votes. It is typically the United States or the UK or one of her other allies, or France or something like that, that stands against things that the world majority agrees on. This is one of the major reasons why the UN is considered to be ineffective, because there's a handful of nations that have veto power, which is kind of outrageous, because what's the point of the majority of the world agreeing on one thing only for a handful of other countries to unilaterally use the veto power against the interest and the will of the majority of nations and states? Yes. Well, on the one hand, we see the obstruction of the US and her allies, her Western allies in the UN, to obstruct the global good of all. But on the other hand, you still see the United States acting as if she's unilaterally the UN in her congressional hearings and in her conversations between the U.S. House of Representatives and the Senate and some of these presidents. You see them acting like they're the world body, the way they plot and plan and scheme to intervene in all types of countries. I want you to watch this clip of Congresswoman Kim back to back making a couple of statements and inquiries about Ethiopia.
Of course, have jurisdiction over the Ministry of Defense?
I believe it. Well, I don't think so. Yeah.
Well, accountability over the Ministry of Defense?
Well, the government of Ethiopia is responsible ultimately, and they'll have to ensure that members of their forces who have been involved in gross violations of human rights are held accountable.
You know.
Okay, family, did you see that? Do you hear U.S. Congresswoman Kim sit up here and ask one of the ambassadors who is familiar with the region of Ethiopia, because he held several different positions and is familiar with the goings on in that region. She wanted to know if they could intervene, if the task force, this little old task force that the United States is involved in, if they have authority over Ethiopia's defense ministry. Family, Ministry of Defense. This is very concerning. My internal alarms are going off just with the inquiry. Ma'am, Mrs. Kim, are you well? Is everything all right? You know you in America, don't you? You know you don't even have all kind of authority in America. Why are you sitting up here asking this man if his task force has authority over the Ministry of Defense? We're confused, ma'am. No, we're not. You clearly are. You trying to confuse us to make us think that somehow this is appropriate for you to be making these inquiries. Are y'all hearing me today? She wanted to know if the task force had authority over the Ministry of Defense, family. I mean, I know I just said that, but I'm saying it again because I'm still in shock. Before, as I was researching this, as I was listening to this long hearing, as I was doing some other research, and I did some other research just to make sure, because I'm a girl from Mississippi in the United States, born and raised, who currently lives in the West. So to make sure I wasn't missing something, I looked up a couple of sites on the Ministry of Defense in Ethiopia. And just a little bit of information that I found out, it says the Ministry of Defense is a cabinet level office in charge of defense related matters in Ethiopia. It oversees the Ethiopian National Defense Force and Ethiopia defense industry. It says that the current minister is Abraham Belay, right? So just to make sure, I looked up the jurisdiction. Forgive me. Because I know they want to say, well, this is just Vicki Dillard over here talking. This is Congresswoman Kim, who sits on a Foreign Affairs Committee, who has access to international officials, asking does the task force people, and if one of the United States officials has some kind of authority over this country. So I looked up the jurisdiction, and the jurisdiction, according to what our research says, that the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Defense of Ethiopia, the jurisdiction is the government of Ethiopia. Let me hit the gavel on that. Not America, not France, not UK. It says that the jurisdiction is the government of Ethiopia. The headquarters is Addis Ababa, not Washington, D.C. Are y'all hearing me today? I didn't just go to the one site. I went to 2, 3 other sites because I was just trying to make sure I wasn't mixing stuff up. This is outrageous. This is not normal. But the fact that I'm bringing you receipts, I'm bringing you clips of actual congressional proceedings. I'm letting you hear from high-level governmental global entities and peoples who are sitting here at every chance that they can get to scheme and to plot, watch this, and to actually propose, and in some instances, successfully pass legislation of an international sort, like they're the UN running around here. Is this the reason why the United States keeps disrespecting the UN, because she acts like she's the UN? This is outrageous. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. But with a straight face, she sat up there, and you could tell that the ambassador, he was shocked. He even though he might be doing some weird, covert, devilish stuff behind the scene, he was just shocked that she would ask this question out loud. Did you see that? He was shocked when the first question, he was really trying to think of a deep answer. When he put 2 and 2 together, and he was said to himself, you could see in his mind, using your mind's eye, you could see he was saying, what does the hell does she mean? Does a task force have authority over a sovereign? My God, today. This is why I'm bringing you all this, because I'm trying to show you the mind of the oppressive class. My name is Vicki Dillard, beloved. Be sure to connect with me at VickiPlanet.com. That's my website. I have all kinds of yummy products and services. And my new monthly mastermind spiritual school is getting ready to open January 2nd on my 45th birthday. Go to VickiPlanet.com. That's VICKI Planet.com. Be sure to share the broadcast. I can't